Welcome to the February meeting of the Human Rights Commission. And at this time, can we do roll call, please?
Yes, so I'm going to call your name and please identify yourself as present or here. Commissioner White?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Amberman?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Hesseltine?
Present. Also, I'm on my phone instead of my computer because I'm getting ready to go somewhere.
Okay.
So I'm going to probably not be watching me, not be.
Turn your video off.
Yes.
I understand.
Thank you. Okay,
You're welcome.
you.
Commissioner Khaled?
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Rencia?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Thompson?
Present.
Thank you. Vice Chair Jenkott?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Mancall?
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Gunn?
I'm here.
Thank you. Commissioner Burnsworth?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Rivera?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Stevens?
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Ellis?
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Taylor? Commissioner Taylor?
We won't do much. We'll still be in the back of the room.
Okay, I see you waving your hand, Commissioner Taylor. Chair Nair Strickland?
Here.
Thank you. And Commissioner Stanley?
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Zoberman?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Anderson? Commissioner Anderson? Are you still with us?
Here.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Anderson. And I heard someone just pop on, but I don't think it was any more commissioners. So that is it for roll call. Since we have guest presenters here today, I just want to take a moment and identify our liaisons who have joined us today, starting with Dr. Parrott. Dr. Parrott, can you hear us?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Parrott. And Aurelius Walker. Aurelius, can you hear us all?
Yes.
Aurelius? Oh.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon.
Hi, Aurelius. All right, thank you. Captain Norris, can you hear us?
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Welcome, Captain Norris. And our Deputy City Attorney, Rod. Hey, Rod.
Hello.
Okay, that is roll call. And back to you, Chair Nair Strickland.
Thank you. Are there any corrections to the agenda or additions?
Raise your virtual hand if you have anything to add to the agenda today.
If not, we'll go on to the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve last month's minutes.
Does anyone want to make a motion to approve the minutes from the January 14th meeting? Please raise your virtual hand. Okay, have a virtual hand up by Commissioner Amberman. Commissioner Amberman, your mic is open.
I move that we approve.
Thank you. Does anyone want to second that motion to approve the minutes from the January meeting? Please raise your virtual hand.
Or real hand.
I see a virtual hand up by Vice Chair Jenkott. Vice Chair Jenkott, your mic is open.
I second.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Jenkott. Okay, is there any discussion or opposition to the approval for the minutes from the January 14th meeting? Raise your virtual hand. Let me check with our commissioners on the phone. Commissioner Zoberman?
Nope.
Thank you. Commissioner Anderson, any opposition or discussion about the minutes from the January meeting?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and I'm not seeing any virtual hands. So with that, I'm going to do a roll call vote for approval of the minutes from the January 14th meeting. Commissioner White?
Approved.
Thank you. Commissioner Amberman?
Approve.
Thank you. Commissioner Hesseltine?
Approve.
Thank you. Commissioner Khaled?
Approved.
Thank you. Commissioner Rencia? Thank you. Commissioner Thompson?
Approved.
Thank you. Vice Chair Jenkott?
Approve.
Thank you. Commissioner Mancall?
Approve.
Thank you. Commissioner Gunn?
Approve.
Thank you. Commissioner Burnsworth?
Approve.
Thank you. Commissioner Rivera?
Approve.
Thank you. Commissioner Stevens?
Approve.
Thank you. Commissioner Ellis?
Approve.
Thank you. Commissioner Taylor?
Approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Chair Neer Strickland?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stanley?
Approved.
Thank you. And Commissioner Zoberman?
Approved.
Thank you. Commissioner Anderson?
Approved.
Thank you. Okay, with that, the minutes for the January 14th meeting were approved 18-0.
Thank you. And so we can get this started. Welcome Commonwealth Attorney and Public Defenders for our presentation. And I'll just turn it right over to you if that's all right. Whoever wants to start.
Okay, I have unmuted you all, so whoever wants to begin the presentation, you can take the helm.
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. Fortunately, my picture is very small, so I don't have to look at myself. I'm Cal Bain I'm the head of the Public Defender's Office. I guess I'll start since I'm the one asking the city for money. For a long time now, as long as I can remember, the city has provided a supplement for the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. And as the years have progressed, that supplement has grown and grown. And so now it's made a quite shocking, I would say, difference in our salaries between the offices. Just to give you some examples. Our starting salary here at the Public Defender's Office for an attorney right out of law school would be about $53,000. The Commonwealth Attorney's Office now with their supplement would be about $73,000. So that's about roughly a 40% difference in starting salary. And I've certainly had plenty of attorneys leave and go across the street and, you know, not really wanting to in some ways, or at least saying they didn't want to. But, you know, just quite candidly saying that's a difference, that's a mortgage payment right there, that difference in salary. And, you know, many of them have healthy law school loans to pay that they're dealing with as well. So it makes it difficult. And those discrepancies actually grow as you go up the chain, where my deputy would be making in the 70s, their deputies are making about 130. So that's a 60,000 difference. And my chief deputy would be in the 80s somewhere, and their chief deputy would be about 150,000. I mean, it's, I would say, important to, we all think of the justice system as equal combatants fighting it out, defending their position, and then out of that battle, truth comes, and hopefully justice. And it's a little difficult when the salaries aren't the same. Causes turnover. And, you know, I remember my parents were shocked when I graduated from law school that I still came out needing to be trained when I was talking to them. But the truth is, when we hire new attorneys, it takes a year or two really to train them to a point where they can function well in court without a lot of supervision. And that's around the time that, about the time we get them trained, that's about the time that they start thinking about leaving, because they'd like to make a decent living. And in the last couple of years, the Commonwealth Attorney's Office here has taken 3 of my attorneys. It's heartbreaking. There he is. I call him. But I mean, it is just a reality of the way things are now. But I've babbled enough here. Let Colin defend his poaching of mine.
There's no defense, and anyone that saw the city council presentation knows that I'm in full support of the public defender's office getting a supplement from the city. What I think may be helpful is to go back and talk about how we got here and you know, how the situation got to where it is. So many years ago, and I've been with the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office for 28 years now, and before I ever came to the office, Virginia Beach City Council made the determination that they wanted to be a safe city. And to do that, they were going to put funding into their police department, and they were going to put funding into the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office. And so even though the city is not required to give my office a supplement, they made the decision that they are going to make a supplement. And it's very similar to where we are now with the Public Defender's Office. Is the city required to give the Public Defender's Office a supplement? No, they're not. But and I think you'll hear from all of our comments, it's certainly the right thing to do. But again, over the years, the supplement grew because my employees would get cost of living increases through the city. Eventually, our salaries were tied to the city attorney's salaries. So when the city attorneys got increases, our attorneys got increases. We're paid in the same pay scale as the city attorneys are paid. And so that's how we have this situation that's grown over the years. And it's achieved its desired results if you take a look at it, because the results were for Virginia Beach to have a very good, competent Commonwealth's Attorney's Office. And because of the supplement that I get from Virginia Beach, I am able to attract, for my entry-level positions, I'm able to attract experienced prosecutors from other offices. I'm able to attract some of Cal's attorneys to my office because we are able to pay more. So that's the background of my office and its supplement. But I think it's important that we focus on, why does the public defender need to start getting a supplement from the city that the city's not required to do? Well, the state has been horrible when it comes to responding to keeping salaries at a livable level for state employees all across the board. If my attorneys did not have a supplement, we would have the same starting salary as Cal's attorneys. And there are some Commonwealth's attorneys offices around the state that don't get a supplement, and they have the same starting salary. But over the years, things have changed so dramatically with cost of living that the state salary really has not reflected those changes at all. And it's not uncommon for someone to come out of law school with $80,000, $100,000, $120,000 in student loans. And to expect somebody to work on a starting salary of a public defender and be able to buy a house or raise a family, it's just not possible when you're looking at the amount of student loan debts that many students have. So rather than being able to keep well-qualified, good trial attorneys, many of the folks, not only in Cal's office, but in other offices like Commonwealth's attorney's offices that don't get supplements, sooner or later, the attorney has to make a decision of, do I continue in this public service, or do I move on so that I can make money, so I can buy a house, so I can raise my kids, and that kind of thing. So the reason why this is important for Virginia Beach to take this step is, I have always told people for years that I believe that the public defenders have the hardest job in the criminal justice system. I really do. You know, defendants and Cal and Basil and Tate can talk to this more than I do. Defendants somehow feel that they're getting shortchanged when they get a public defender, when actually they're getting some of the most brilliant, dedicated attorneys that are in the criminal justice system, but they give their public defenders a hard time, don't have any respect for them. Their public defenders don't get cooperation from them. It's not an easy role to play, and it takes someone who is experienced and knows how to ease a defendant's concerns and to put together a good defense in a case in order to serve that role. And if you have constant turnover, it's very difficult to have that. So I think it's extremely important that the City of Virginia Beach give the Public Defender's Office a supplement, because it's important that Cal maintain these excellent attorneys that he does hire so that defendants can have good, competent representation. And I'm not saying they don't have that now, but it's going to make life easier for everyone involved if there's a salary that allows him to retain people in that office. So I think the best example of this is the other two attorneys that are on this call, Basil and Tate. Both are excellent trial attorneys. And I'm not just saying that to make them feel good. They're excellent trial attorneys. But at the end of the day, I think they'll tell you that they're not in the public defender's office now because they couldn't afford to be in the public defender's office. And so I think it's important that the city step forward, and even though they're not required to provide a supplement to the public defender's office, because it's the right thing to do. And I'll be quiet now.
I guess step in. It makes sense because a lot of the things that were said apply directly to me and directly to here across the way. Anybody who didn't hear earlier, his computer got funky, so he's gonna share mine with me. So as soon as I'm done, I'll just turn this screen around and talk. But 100% of the reason that I'm not at the public defender's office is money. That's 100% of it. I loved my time there. I learned a lot. I learned how to be a trial attorney. Cal has an excellent group of attorneys over there, and I learned basically everything I know through that office. The problem is the amount of work that comes through that office, which is largely minority clients. So just the socioeconomics of our country, it's going to be minority clients coming through that office. So rather than having been constantly trained and then leaving and then coming in and being trained and starting from square one, it would be much better if we had a situation where attorneys could make a whole career out of being in the public defender's office. And they can also feel like they're able to pay off student loans, provide for their family. I have for when I got out of law school is 120. I had $120,000 worth of student loans I had to pay back, and that was a massive consideration for leaving. I'm very good friends with somebody in the public defender's office who said his number is 190,000. These are massive amounts of money. It's not just, I know some people might hear the argument and say, oh, well, they start at 51, 52, and the Commonwealth starts at 72, and, your poor lawyers, that's still a lot of money. But it's not just you're coming in and making that amount of money, and that's it. You got to pay off these student loans, and it's pretty insane what that's like. So when we think of scales of justice, and honestly, it's not a bad way to look at it. If I'm a poor client, I am, hearing things like, the prosecutor's office has all these resources and they've got these sleek, shiny items in their office, and they have all these smiling faces in there, which is true. It's a very well-run office, well-resourced office. But I look at how the city would look at me as a person who's been charged with a crime, and I think that this is such an obvious presumed innocent of the crime, and that's one of those things of believe that, or we just pay it lip service. But if you want to treat people fairly and we have due process and all that type of stuff, then we're going to have to, you know, basically put our money where our mouths are and back that up. So I just don't see how the city can straight face say, you know, we value both sides of the scales of justice while only really providing for one. You have an argument, there's usually two sides to the story. And great thing about our situation right here is that both sides are saying the exact same thing. The prosecutor's office is saying this is fair. Public defender's office. Fair or not. So I know that money doesn't grow on trees. The city decides what noble causes they want to fund, which ones are worthy, which are. But in the end, this is, I don't know what's more noble than have a fair justice system, making sure that people who are charged with crimes have their day in court, that the system has integrity, that you know, everybody comes out of there thinking that, you know, this is a fair system and the cards aren't stacked, because currently they are. And that's a criticism of Colin Stolly or anything like that. His very well run. I've said many nice things about him even before he got behind the public defender cause. But I think he, as he kind of said, that's being able to get some of the best young attorneys come through. And that was very attractive to me. Like I said, public defender at heart, but I applied to their office before I left and decided to start my own practice because of, again, money. It's a thing. And they also have a pleasant office, so I'll throw that out there. But like Mr. Stolly said, it's the hardest job in the court. I've done it. I've talked to people who have been public defenders and then went over to the side, and I talked to them and they said it's not a question. Public defender's job is the hardest job. You're dealing with disgruntled people who don't trust the system, and I don't want to say for good reason, but this is one of those reasons. It seems like the cards are stacked against them. And public perception, I think, is a massive thing when you start talking about justice and how people are going to react. We had the George Floyd incident happen that sort of started this social justice movement. So now it's a great time for people to band together and say this is important. And you know, it has some cost to it, of course. Honestly, it's a bit of a drop in the bucket. We're not saying that maybe the public defender should get exactly the same amount of money, but you got to start somewhere. So even if you gave a 1/10 of the amount, that's still something that makes a difference in these people's lives. If somebody told me that supplements are coming to the tune of, I don't know, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a piece, that would be something where I might have thought twice. And when you add it up and you add up what you know, the staff, the public defender's office and all that type of stuff, it's not a massive amount of money. I guess the amount the Commonwealth's attorney gets. So with that, I will turn it over to my much smarter law partner, Tate Westendorf.
All right. I'm law partners with Bassel. I was a public defender for roughly 11 years when I left. And even though I haven't been a public defender now for more than issue that I'm passionate about, I'm passionate about it because I know how important quality public defenders is to the integrity of the system. Just to give a very concrete example of the I made slightly less than fresh out of law school on their first day in the prosecutor's office. And that's how imbalanced it is. Somebody that would have had a position to me in the Commonwealth Attorney's office made roughly 80% making. And although it was a job that I felt passionate about, and I continue to be passionate about the public defender's office, that simply was not financially viable for my circumstances. I specifically 4 kids, and at some point, you know, you have to look out for your own. About having balanced scales of justice, Probably everybody is aware that watched the city council meeting. The attorney's office is $6.4 million currently. The public defender's office gets zero, absolutely nothing. So I think it would be very difficult for any person to say with a straight face that we are treating both sides equally. And as everybody knows, it's an adversarial system. To get functioning, the best criminal justice product that we can get, we can't give all the resources to one side. It doesn't work. The Commonwealth Attorney's Office, I think this tremendous return on investment from that $6.4 million. I travel to offices all around Hampton Roads, practice in all, and Virginia Beach is looked at as the Mecca of Commonwealth attorneys. That's why they attract the best and they retained the highest quality talent out there for prosecutors. And I strongly suspect something very similar would occur if the city were to give a supplement to the public defender's office. They would be a beacon system, attracting the best and the brightest and the most dedicated public defenders who I suspect would remain in that office for decades and view it as a viable career path. And that's ultimately what we want, because the problem now is you get these bright young people in, you train them, and once they're competent, they leave. You have the twisted irony of the public defender's office provides training ground, and then they go and they use that training to prosecute the very being represented by the public defender's office. So, you know, another thing that one of the or reluctance I've heard about the source of funding is, well, go to the state. It's to me, that doesn't make logical sense for the reason that the entire imbalance, as everybody has already indicated, is created by the disparity in city funding. Defenders and Commonwealth's attorneys' salaries are at an almost identical level. The entirety of the pay disparity is the result of city funding. So it doesn't make much logical sense to go advocate to the state to say, hey, fix this problem that the city of Virginia Beach created. So yeah, I think everybody else has spoken and intelligently on the issue. I don't know if anybody has any additional questions. I'll be quiet now.
Thank you, everyone. Great explanation. Does anyone have any questions?
I see a virtual hand up by Commissioner Taylor. Commissioner Taylor, your mic is open.
Oh, good evening. Thank you, all of you individual lawyers that's on the line, and I appreciate everything that you're doing, and for the city of Virginia Beach and in your private and public practice. One of the things is I worked in the criminal justice system for about 18 years, from the juvenile detention to director of internal affairs for law enforcement. And also, my pastor is a lawyer. Some of you probably know him, Randy Singler. And we have talked about the criminal justice reform. And what you're talking about, he believes this is where criminal justice reform starts, right here. When in this discussion in leveling the playing field between the Commonwealth Attorney Office and the Public Defender's Office. One of the things that comes to mind is not only to be able to retain the best attorneys in the Public Defender's Office, but also giving them enough money to have the resources to be able to effectively do their duties as a trial lawyer. Because if you can't call expert witnesses, you can't run DNA because you don't have the resources, that put that defendant, to me, in peril. Because if he's innocent, if DNA can clear him, if he doesn't have the money, if the public defender's office don't have the money, and the state is not required to run it if they don't want to, so where does he get the money from? And how does he mount a good defense if, like you say, low social income minorities who is marginalized that don't have the money to affect a good defense, they're at the mercy of the public defender's office, which is underfunded. And when it's underfunded, and you know, you can easily go to jail when the DNA can clear you, and you can get 15 years, and you could be innocent until someone come up with the money to run the DNA test, and they cleared you. Then you said, "Whoa, you done 10 years of the 15." You said, and that's the type of. I'm not saying every case is like that, but what I'm saying is, it's something to that effect that we need to properly fund that office, starting with the attorneys, and then also so you guys can have enough money to affect your trial, to affect it and put up a defense. Because if you if you don't have it, then they're at the peril of the criminal justice system, and like you said, the scale is unbalanced then, because the Commonwealth Attorney has the whole police department behind him to do all kinds of investigation, has the money to call the expert witnesses to rebut anything that you put out there. But what about the defense? Nothing, unless his parents or someone got some money to mortgage a home or something to get a paid lawyer. So I agree that this office needs to be properly funded. And I know I've seen some people in the juvenile justice system who was put in there and had to stay in there 2 years until the parent got some money to clear him, and he cleared. And that's the type of thing that happened. Spent 2 years of his life. He got his GED in there. Went in there 16 years old, got his GED, but at the end, his parents finally found the money to get a paid lawyer and to get whatever they needed to help clear him. And that's the type of stuff that we are facing.
Great.
And so I just believe that we need Virginia Beach need to step up, and you guys need to be paid equally as the Commonwealth Attorney. Your case loads, my God, overwhelming, and I know. And so I just thank God for you. But we need to talk to our city council about giving you stepping up the pay.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. You made a good case. You should be an attorney.
Thank you.
And I do think that was the reason why we were asked here today, was so that we could have this conversation, so all of you could have those conversations with city council members on the importance of making sure that there's a supplement for the public defenders.
Thank you. I see Teresa Stanley's hand is up.
Yes, Commissioner Stanley, your mic is open.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner Taylor, for making what I think should be our case as human rights commissioners about why it's so important. I just want to thank the chair for bringing this to the table, Councilman Bellucci, who I know is behind the effort. But I want to make sure I have clarity. And first of all, Commonwealth Attorney Stolly, we are very fortunate to have your weigh-in to know that to balance the equal sides of justice does make it so that human rights are being upheld on both sides in order to have a fair justice system. But did I understand you to say, I'm still trying to figure out why the city supplement, for 6.4 million for prosecutor, and I heard you say that it had to do with, safe cities, and that was why the prosecuting side got funded initially, correct?
Correct. So initially the city made a determination that they wanted to be a safe city. And in order to do that, they were going to supplement the Commonwealth Attorney's Office and provide funding to a police department. I would say that the investment was successful. We do routinely rank as one of the safest cities of our size, but along the way, the public defenders were left out of that equation.
And I so appreciate that explanation. And also, you know, not being in the silo, it would seem that it would be difficult to get you to step in and weigh in on this. And I am so proud of you and our city because the balance is so important. So it is all city disparity money. So we can't, you know, we couldn't recommend anything through the state. So it would, can you help me understand? I know it has to come from somewhere. Has there been any, you know, talk, you know, as we weigh in on something, I think we should make sure we understand, you know, it won't necessarily impact our prosecuting office, Commonwealth's Attorney's Office. We're just, what we do, I do think that we don't have justice without, you know, closing this disparity gap. And so how would that affect, other than to just say we need 6.1 million more dollars to funding to make it equal?
So let me not get too far down in the weeds, but I think what we're discussing here is pay parity for the attorneys. So my office prosecutes cases in addition to those cases that the public defenders handle. So there are private attorneys, there are court-appointed attorneys. So we prosecute more cases. Now, Cal defends cases that we are not involved in, so they handle some cases that we're not involved in. But I am a law enforcement office, and I have all kinds of different responsibilities other than just being in the courtroom. So it's not as simple as saying 6.1 million for the public defenders equals that. What I, and we could spend a long time discussing the differences of the offices, but I do believe that that there should be pay parity with the attorneys and personnel. That does not add up to $6.1 million. So we're actually, Cal can probably throw this number out quicker than I can. Do you know what the total number would be, Cal, for pay parity between the attorneys and staff?
Excuse me. We've estimated some things, and you know, I think we'd have to have probably city HR people look in, particularly to think about our investigators and or our paralegals and secretaries. It's hard for me to even compare our offices there. The attorneys, you know, that's my thing. So I'm comfortable with that. I think it's probably in the neighborhood of about $1 million if you were looking at true pay, $1 million if you were looking at true pay parity. One other thing I think it's important to remember is that it was only about 5 years ago that legislation was passed that would allow a city to give us a supplement. Prior to that, the law would have said, you know, Dillon's rule would have said, the city has no authority to do that. And I still think, and I'm no expert on any of this, but I still think probably sadly, the city has for that same reason, the city has no authority to give us money other than what's specifically spelled out in that statute, that new statute that says a supplement for salaries. So I don't think they could supplement us in any of the other ways.
That's correct. And Cal brings up a really interesting point. So I'm a constitutional officer. My office is one of 5 constitution, and that means the offices are created under the Constitution of Virginia. So Commonwealth's Attorney is one of those offices created, and so we receive our funding from the State Compensation Board. I'm not a state agency. I'm not a city department. I'm an independent, unique unicorn out there that I'm not a state agency. I'm not a city department. I'm a constitutional officer. And that basically means I have independence. The state can't tell me what to do other than through laws. The city can't tell me what to do, but I can receive funding from each. The process is very simple. As a result, my staff is just simply paid through the city, and the state funding from the comp board gets passed through the city. And so it's easy for us to get bonus or cost of living increases or raises or that kind of thing through the state or the city. It's different with the public defender's office because they are through the Supreme Court, through the Indigent Defense Commission with the Supreme Court. And so it's going to be a complicated process. But having said that, there are at least 4 or 5 jurisdictions in Virginia that supply their public defenders with a supplement now.
I think
So
it's,
just because it's
actually
difficult,
more like 7 now.
oh, okay. Just because it's difficult doesn't mean it can't happen. Does it mean that Cal's people may get like 2 different paychecks, one from the Supreme Court, one from the city? Maybe, but that's better than not getting a supplement at all. Just to back up to one of the comments you made early on, I'm very happy to stand up with Cal in the public defender's office because they do deserve this. They do have a very hard job. And oftentimes people view us as adversaries, and actually nothing could be farther from the truth. A crime is tried in an adversarial system where we get up in court and we fight on different positions, but that doesn't make us adversaries. In fact, my ethical responsibilities in a criminal case, I have as much ethical responsibility to a defendant in the case as I do to a victim in the case. And so at the end of the day, what I want to see is justice served. And that's what Cal and that's what Basil and that's what Tate want to see too. And here, justice being served is the public defenders need to get this supplement.
Thank you. And you provided all the clarity I needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any comments or questions? Well, we thank you very much.
Chair Nair-Siflin,
Oh,
there's
yes.
a virtual hand up by Commissioner Hasseltine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Hasseltine, your mic is open.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation. It was excellent, and certainly I support the pay parity. My question is, and you may have already said this, the pay parity, is that only for the attorneys, or does that also filter down to the paralegals, to the admin staff, or are they already being paid the same?
That's a very good question. Because as I said a minute ago, I believe that there is a disparity there, and my goal would be to get pay parity for all my employees. But you start getting in it where it's, I mean, with the attorneys, it's easy for me to go, I'm an attorney's an attorney to some extent, and then a supervising attorney is a supervising attorney. Now, actually, in Colin's office, they have many levels of associate attorney. I mean, there are all kinds of things. I have basically attorney 1, attorney 2, what we call senior assistants, which are deputies. And I have my deputy, which Colin would call the chief deputy, and then Colin and me. But I'd swear in Colin's office, there's about 20 different things. But I'm just focusing on the main, the main ones would make me happy enough if we could get on those levels. And with the support staff, it gets a little more complicated, but I think that's why I was saying, I think that, with the assistance of some of the HR people and with the city, they might be able to help us figure that out.
Yeah, I think that's I think an issue because I my guess, and but probably a lot of the paralegals are probably women, minority.
Safe bet.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we want to get them up too.
I do believe that there's probably a pay disparity between our staffs as well. And I think you raised a really important point. There should be, a supplement for Cal staff. But I do understand what he's saying. So IDC doesn't necessarily, it's easy when you talk attorneys, but IDC doesn't necessarily use the same titles and same job responsibilities for staff. So oftentimes, if you compare staff from his office to what you might find in my office or the city attorney, Because when we went on the city attorney's pay plan, we use the same titles throughout our office that the city attorney does. So what I think Cal's getting at is that you would have to sit down and compare job responsibilities of the staff, and for a supplement say, okay, this person does this role that would be a city title of this, so we're going to supplement them at that level. And I do think it's important for that to happen, because you're right, the attorneys may be the ones going into court. It's the support staff that does a lot of the hard work that allows them to go into court and do the case. So
Thank you both. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, Commissioner Heseltine. I see a virtual hand up by Commissioner Amberman. Commissioner Amberman, your mic is open.
Thank you so very much for the presentation. And as human rights advocates, of course, we want to support anything that in our city could take us to equity in the justice system. And can you tell me specifically, or can you tell us specifically, how can we use our support, and how can we, do you have any advice on that? Specific, what is your ask of this commission?
So if Cal, if you don't mind me jumping in, simply because I've dealt with making requests of council quite a bit. I think it's important that council hear from you, whether it's through phone calls or whether it's a letter from the commission itself saying we endorse the idea of pay parity for public defenders with Commonwealth's attorneys. They need to hear from you. If that's how you feel, then they need to hear that from you. And I know Councilman Berlucci and Councilman Tower have both been at the forefront of this, but I'm sure that they could use your help in trying to advocate and convince others to get on board.
Thank you so very much. And with that note, I would like to move that my request is that our commission write a letter in support of this parity request to our city council.
I hear that motion. Hold it for a minute. I see Commissioner Gunn's hand is raised.
Yes. Commissioner Gunn, your mic is open.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I have a few questions actually. First, I believe someone made a comment about 7 jurisdictions already have the supplement across the state of Virginia. Is that correct?
Yes, don't hold me to that number, but it's more than 4. And
okay. But it's pretty small. My question is, like, why just only that amount? Why are not more jurisdictions receiving the supplement for public defender's offices?
Well, I mean, and I found it, I've been with the office for 30 years now, and I've never, other than to my bosses up in Richmond, I'm used to asking them for money, but I've never had any experience at all asking anyone for money. And so would need Colin's help. And I know that all of my fellow heads of the offices are in that same kind of boat. And it's only been about the last 5 years, as I say, that we had legislation where we could even ask for it. So it is certainly something that is growing. And as Colin suggested, there are certainly jurisdictions where there is pay parity between the two sides. So there's nothing to ask for. And there are currently 26 public defender offices around the state. Other parts of the state still have just rely on court-appointed private attorneys who also take on court-appointed.
Okay. Another question. You mentioned the salaries for staff, or for my question is the supplement simply just for staff, or is it also for resources? Is the office itself underfunded or needs additional resources for like some?
I would love to have all the money I could get for my office, but unfortunately right now.
Is that an outstanding issue though about funding? would you say?
I mean, it's always an issue. I mean, in truth, our budget is almost all salaries and rent. Beyond that, it's the paper and the copier ink, those kind of things. But the bulk of our annual budget is devoted to salaries, rent, and that. So we could always use more things, but right now,
But
just
this supplement is simply just for salaries.
Salaries.
Okay.
And to just get another little whine in, I mean, sadly, that supplement wouldn't even cover anything like retirement, whereas, I mean, it would literally just be the salary. So, whereas no matter what the city does, the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, people will be retiring at higher, rates than we'll ever be able to get. But at this point,
That's a state issue, though, not a locality issue.
Yeah, all I want is pay parity. We'll be happy. We'll be happy with that.
Okay. One more question, actually. This is for, I believe it's Basil. I'm not sure if I mispronounced the name. If he's still there, perhaps the other gentleman can answer as well.
Hey, what's up?
you had mentioned you were talking about as far as fairness, as far as there being an imbalance because of fairness. Like typically, the public defender's office is representing more minority clients, people who are under resourced, versus like I say, your office have plenty more resources.
Right.
And it kind of filters in as far as affecting exactly the type of representation they're able to get. Can you talk a little bit more about that as far as like the issue of fairness and how does that affect, or how would that supplement affect this?
Well, I mean, if you have more money, I mean, you can have more time to handle cases. That's to me one of the biggest things. If you had more money to fill more positions, that would be a wonderful thing. But the experience in handling cases, to take some, like, for instance, when I was a public defender, I was on the misdemeanor team, and I was lucky. I had about a month to be mentored by someone in the office, and that was actually a bit unusual. Most people just have to jump right into court, but I came in with zero experience, and I had somebody who actually went from the PD's office over to the prosecutor's office who helped me out, and I had no clue what I was doing. So the efficiency just kind of is directly intertwined with this idea that sort of time is valuable, right? So for me to handle, let's say, on a bad day, I could say 25 cases in a single morning, and that's insane, right? Imagine having 25 people who are all clamoring for your attention, and yes, they're misdemeanor cases, mistakes, but having no experience coming in and figuring out all these different people, most of whom are minority clients, it's difficult. If you took me right now, somebody who has, close to a decade of experience doing this now, and I've handled very, very good cases involving jury trials, all that type of stuff, I mean, I could do it and it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but, you're now just the only people who are coming in to handle that role are people without any experience. So if you have supplements, you can retain the talent, you can keep people there who will be able to be more efficient. Because the caseloads are insane.
Is that,
and I don't know how.
Is that one of the big issues, though, is like the time constraints of actually handling so many cases?
I'll tell you this, going from public defender to private, like I said, on a bad morning, I could handle 20, 25 cases. Now, a bad day for me is handling 2 cases, and I make way more money.
But you're saying like right now you could do like 25 cases with your experience versus someone in the public defender's office who is newer. They don't have that experience that you have to be able to efficiently handle a caseload of that size. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. The efficiency is probably the number one. And I'm just trying to, I guess, illustrate how big of a thing that is when I say, now I might do in the morning, I handle those with absolute confidence. I can call this person's pastor. I can call employer. I can talk to this person's relatives. I can have people at the bond hearing. I can talk to the detective on the case. I can call the all that. But imagine doing that times 25 as a public defender. You know, it's difficult. So if you don't have the support staff properly funded, if you don't have people in place who can help you out, then efficiency just falls off of a cliff. So it becomes a problem. But now it's pretty. I mean, I go to court and I get just, you know, I've got somebody I can just put my eyes on. I can talk to them. I can take them into the room and have this whole heart to heart. And it's a wonderful thing. And it instills confidence in the client. But again, as a public defender, it's different types of clients. When you're a public defender, you're dealing with people who sometimes just don't have a, so you can't even get in contact with them before the morning of their case. Some of them don't even have a house. I mean, these people are struggling. And again, imagine that where, you know, I'm showing up and now that I'm doing better, I can buy nicer suits and things like that. And I show up in my nice suit and I hold this person's hand and I'm patting them on the back and I'm giving them all this attention. And then I, you know, compare that to the public defender who's scrambling to make heads or tails out of all these cases that they have to handle. And it's just unfair. I mean, again, in my I feel like that's just a part of me that's never going to leave. So one of the reasons my firm is jumping on this issue and trying to be actively involved is because we believe in it so heavily. And, you know, it's just, again, the resource of experience is directly intertwined with the resource of efficiency. And you're not going to have experience or efficiency if you got high turnover, if you've got, you know, staff that's not able to handle the workloads that maybe a prosecutor's office would have their support staff handle. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. And I don't think there's a single person from either side of the political aisle or whatever who's going to say that money doesn't make a difference, that money doesn't make things more competitive, that money doesn't increase the quality of your product. There are public defenders in that office. If I was charged horrific crime, which hopefully never happens, I would take those people over, you know, and 95% of the private attorneys out there. But I also think that maybe they're going to have, you know, 5 or 6 heavy cases on the day of my trial or on the day of what I'm dealing with. That might make me look elsewhere.
Thank you, Mr. Califf. Commissioner Gunn, does that answer your questions? I think we have 2 or 3 more.
Yeah, actually, one more question, if you don't mind.
Okay.
My apologies, one more. For Cal, I'm kind of curious, if you're able to receive the supplement, is it something that you would be able to use for hiring more attorneys or paying the attorneys you have more, or either or? Does that make a difference?
It's a good question. As I understand it, I mean, the legislation that is in existence would only allow me to apply that to current attorneys. I am excited to say that this is completely unrelated to what we're talking about in the large sense, that I have been given permission to add 4 attorneys this year, which is an incredible increase in the size, really. I'm very excited about the prospects that brings. So that is one good thing. But no, the supplement could only be allowed to apply towards pay parity.
Madam Chair, in order to, we have limited time and to keep us on track, if I could just remind us that we have a motion for the HRC to send a letter to council to endorse for the Public Defender's Office pay parity with the Commonwealth's attorneys. I know we have several members with their virtual hands raised. It would be really helpful if one of you would say second to that motion before you go on with your comments.
This is true.
Okay.
Second.
Great.
Rivera has seconded the motion.
I have a virtual hand up by Commissioner Callett. Commissioner
Yes.
Callett?
Yeah, very quick question. I also second the motion, but
Okay, he said he seconded the motion.
Okay, second. We have a
we,
second. Thank you.
you know, we all know different members of council, and you know, I don't know who's in favor of this or who's opposed to it. Do you have a sense, if you're allowed to share, who might be opposed to it, so we can be a little more tactical in who we contact? Since again, we all know different people.
I'm sorry. The motion on the floor is for us to write a letter, I believe, collectively, and that's been seconded. So now we're discussing. There's discussion about everything, but specifically, we writing the letter of support as a commission.
Right. I just meant, you know, if I knew, you know, I'm friends with two of the council members. If I know one of them's against it, I'm sure it'd be more helpful to hear from me personally in addition to the letter. But I just don't know who's against it and who's for it.
I don't know either, but contact your council people anyway.
Just to speak on that for a moment, when we were before city council, I know it was council members Berlucci, Tower, Rouse, and was it Wooten, I believe, all indicated that they were in favor. Nobody directly said that they were opposed, although there was one of the council members had a lot of questions.
Okay. Quick questions, please. David, are you complete? I'm sorry.
Commissioner Taylor, did you have more to add?
Nope, that was it.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Okay, with that, we have a motion on the floor to for the Human Rights Commission to write a letter of support for pay parity with the Commonwealth Attorney. Anyone have any opposition, any discussion about the motion that's currently on the floor?
Mark Stevens had his hand up. He has to leave. Do you still need a comment or a discussion, Mark?
Commissioner Stevens?
The question was, I know we're talking about the money coming in, but how many attorneys do they currently have on staff? And I saw that we're going to increase it by 4. Is that still going to get to the number where they need to handle these cases, even though we're increasing the money? Because I see these attorneys carrying 25 cases in there to the courtrooms when they come in there. Do we need to also, you know, do they need more attorneys beside the 4? Was my question.
I think that would be more of a state issue. As Cal was saying earlier, the code section that allows for a supplement limits that right now to supplementing salaries and not for a locality to actually provide positions. So Cal's getting 4 positions because the General Assembly has provided more funding to IDC. In order to get more positions, the General Assembly would have to take those actions.
How many attorneys are there currently? Do you know?
I have 25 attorneys counting myself right now. So with the 4, that'll take us up to 29.
And your counterparts, how many do they have?
I have 44 attorneys.
Okay.
Again, I deal with cases other than just those cases from the public defender.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. Okay, did anyone else have any discussion regarding the motion that is currently on the floor? I see a real hand up by Commissioner Rivera. Commissioner Rivera, your mic is open.
Yes, I was just hoping to make sure that in that letter that it would provide not only a pay increase for the attorneys, but for the paralegals, investigators, staff, and everyone involved with that office.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Rivera.
Madam Chair, I'd like to call for the vote.
Yes, there's so many hands up.
Anyone else have any discussion or any opposition to the motion on the floor? I see a virtual hand up by Commissioner Taylor. Commissioner Taylor?
Yes, I had a question. And the question was to the public defender office is, do you have the resources if you needed to bring in an expert witness, or do you, if you needed to run DNA, or do you have enough do you have investigators, or if you do you have enough?
Again, I would always be happy to have more. Currently, we have 2 investigators who are, I guess you'd say, your classic investigators, and then we have one what we call a sentencing advocate who investigates issues having to do with just that aspect of a case. And it looks like we're going to get another one because it appears that fortunately, happily, all the capital defender offices are going to be defunct here in another 6 months, as it looks like we're doing away with capital punishment in the Commonwealth. And so I'm going to give one of those. You know, for expert witnesses, we have to go to the judge and ask for money for that, and we certainly do that. But if the judge says he doesn't think it's reasonable or not, then we have no individual resources to do such things. But that's the process we go through, is to file a motion with the court. And there is now, and that this legislation, again, I think was passed just last year or the year before, we now can do that ex parte. In other words, the Commonwealth can't be part of us going in to make that motion, because we might have reasons for not wanting them to know what we're looking into at that time.
And just to be clear, that expert is not paid through the public defender's office. It's then paid by the courts.
Okay.
So the public defender's office is never paying for experts. It's the court who would pay for the experts, but the public defenders have to get the approval of the court to get the expert.
Is that the same with the DNA test?
Right. If they wanted something tested, or typically they could file a motion wanting us to have something tested, us order it, the testing, or if they wanted for some reason an independent test, they would have to seek that through the court.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. There's a call for the question. Can we take a vote, please?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I just wanted to say that the motion that I made was the specific motion that was repeated by the city attorney. But then I heard Commissioner Rivera mention other things which are not being discussed on this. So the motion is that that we, as a Human Rights Commission, write a letter in support or pay parity for the Public Defense Office. And I feel that any other additions demands more discussion for this group. So that is the focus of the motion, and that was properly seconded. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ammerman. Okay, now I know people still have some questions for our presenters, but just want to go ahead and do this vote for the motion that's on the table, which is a letter of support from the Human Rights Commission for pay parity for the Public Defender's Office. So I'm going to do a roll call vote for the motion on the table. So, Commissioner Taylor, your vote?
I'll vote in favor.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Cubine, your vote?
In favor, yes, but in favor.
Thank you. Commissioner White, your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Amberman, your vote?
Vote in favor.
Thank you. Commissioner Heseltine?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Khaled?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Orencia? Commissioner Orencia? Are you still with us?
I come in, I'm starving.
Okay, I will later. Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Thank you. Vice Chair Jenka?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Manco?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Gunn?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Burnsworth?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Rivera?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Ellis?
Yes.
Thank you. Chair Nair Strickland?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stanley?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Zolberman?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Anderson?
Aye.
Thank you. And let's try again. Commissioner Orencia, are you there? Commissioner Orencia? Okay, so we missed him. So by a vote of 18-0, we have a yes in favor for writing a letter of support from the Human Rights Commission for pay parity for Public Defender's Office.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming to the meeting. And making a
Chair
presentation.
Strickland,
Yes, sir.
I just want to interject that also I will take this concern to the Hampton Roads Black Caucus and encourage them to write a letter to the city council endorsing the same.
Okay, thank you. I would encourage all of us to go back to our communities and do the same. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. I know you're anxious to go. I'm sorry. Beatrice, do you have something to say to them before they leave?
Commissioner Amberman, your mic is open.
No, I just wanted to say that this is an important issue for us and that we should keep it as one of the topics to bring up for the legislative package that our city sends. So please, if we can put it in there for our discussion. Thank you.
We'll do that. And for you gentlemen, we are also members of the Virginia Association of Human Rights for all the human rights commissions in the state of Virginia, and we'll take this forward to them as well. So thank you again for attending. We greatly appreciate the presentation.
Thank you all very much for having us. Really appreciate it.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I'm sorry, before you go, Tommy, I know you've had your virtual hand raised.
Oh,
Is
I
there something you need to say before they go?
Thank you. Yes, I do. I
Hi,
really
Commissioner
want-
Cubine.
Thank you. I really want to say how much all of us who are in the mental health field appreciate that there is an attorney with the Public Defender's Office that's, I think she specializes in defending people with mental health problems. And I've had a lot of association with her over the years and really appreciate that she is there, and also that the Public Defender's Office does defend people that have great needs and may not be able to pay for an attorney. And actually, I don't really know private attorneys that do specialize mental health or mental illness problems. So I just wanted to say how much we appreciate what you're doing, and I'm glad that we're going to support this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are they gone?
Commissioner Helbon, I'm sorry I didn't see your hand up. Okay. We're very good. I know it's a rolling thing, so I rolled you right off the screen. So again, gentlemen, you're welcome to stay, but we know you probably have other business to do.
Thank you all.
Thank you
very much. Thank you. Okay.
Anybody else have anything else to say? I keep strolling back and forth and I miss hands.
Any show hands? Anyone have any comments on the presentation? Commissioner Zoberman?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Anderson?
No, thank you though.
All right, thank you. Oh, I have a virtual hand up by Commissioner Rivera. Commissioner Rivera, your mic is open.
Yes, I would just like to recommend that next time we have a vote like that perhaps we can have a reiteration of what the motion was, because basically what I was saying was the same thing that Beatrice was talking about in her motion. So as a reminder of what we're voting on, that way perhaps it'll limit the discussion and so on.
Okay, we'll take that under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivera. Okay, and I have a virtual hand up by Commissioner Hasseltine. Commissioner Hasseltine, your mic is open.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear perfectly.
Okay, good. I just want to circle back with what Commissioner Rivera what I thought he was trying to do. And certainly I want that to be part of the ongoing conversation with the pay parity, because there are a lot of minorities and women who work in these admin and paralegal positions. And while they're they're not even close to 50,000. So the increase to make their pay equal to what the Commonwealth attorney is making would be much less. And I want to leave that on the table as well, because I don't want to leave them behind. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hasseltine.
If I may add, the motion was for pay parity, not for the attorneys at the Public Defender's Office, but for the Public Defender's Office. that sounds to me like it encompasses attorneys and support staff.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Thank you.
Sorry, and I was going to say, I'm sure that our Sir Roderick will help us draft that letter so that we get the wording correctly, and we'll send it to you prior to being sent out. Okay, great, thank you. Moving on to the chairman's report. I really just have this quickly. Since I'm on this, and Sir Roderick is also the Committee for Boards and Commissions, Citizens Committee for Boards and Commissions, a big long name. The progress that we're meeting weekly, we're meeting bi-weekly now, I believe, and making progress. So I know we're working on our procedures and our I don't know, call it a quick reference or a manual of some sort, but there may be some suggestions coming in from that committee to City Council. But as was pointed out to me, and that's been made very clear in each of those meetings, that we really can make all the suggestions that we want. Enforcement, if anything, is really up to City Council. I think the only rule, maybe, and Roderick can verify this, that we have to attend 9 of the 12 meetings. But even then, if a City Council person would like to overlook something, we work at the pleasure of the commission. So we can get all the processes we want down, but it's basically we work at the pleasure of City Council. And I see his hot head nodding. That's that report on that. So the next one I have is COVID-19 task force, and unfortunately my name is there, and I think I've been replacing it with Commissioner Amberman. So if Commissioner Amberman and Jencock have anything to say for COVID-19.
Commissioner Ammerman or Jencock, does either one of you want to go first? You raise your virtual hands. Yes. Either one want to report on this? I can open up both your microphones if you want to. Okay, Commissioner Ammerman, I see your virtual hand is up and your mic is open.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that lately we have had meetings every 2 weeks rather than every other week, and it is because of the changes that are coming through the state. But I wanted to report to you that the last meeting we had, I guess it was 2 Fridays ago, it was reported that nearly 200,000 people are fully vaccinated, and the positivity rate went down in Virginia to 10.4%. And as of the 7th of February, the total amount of doses administered in Virginia were 1,072,748, and people that have been vaccinated with at least one dose were 876,778 people. People fully vaccinated, that means with the 2 doses, are 185,970 people. And it says that is amounts about 10.3% of the population that had at least one dose. And I just wanted to tell you that there has not been accurate reporting, and I guess it was not because of anything, but other than it has been a very difficult situation in the Virginia Beach Health Department. But I don't think that the collection of ethnicity and race has been properly collected, let's say. And so the numbers that I'm going to share with you are not the total figures, but we say that the vaccinations by race and ethnicity, the Asian Pacific Islander up to the Friday the 7th were 18,900 people. The Black population, 50,167 people vaccinated. Latino, 29,012 people. White people, 334,879. Native Americans, 2,083. No reports for people of 2 or more races. And the one thing that, we gotta say here is that a lot of people have expressed concerns, basically because of the fact that, number one, we don't know how people are being reached, and specifically people in the poorer sectors of the community, or perhaps people that have no internet connection. We know that it has been difficult to register to get vaccines, but for those people that don't have internet, there was one fund that was basically given, and sometimes the wait went between 2 hours and 4 or more if you wanted to. So, that is the concern. The concern is that, and the question is, how are we reaching those populations that have been incredibly affected by COVID, and to make sure that moving forward, that, the cities basically question how are we reaching those populations and to make accommodations for such. Let's see, in Virginia Beach, people that have fully vaccinated only, they say it was 8,349 people as of, and I think it was on 1 week report only. The other things that I wrote down, it is that let me see, the combined number of patients hospitalized due to COVID-19 and on a ventilator around the state is 301 people. The total number of patients hospitalized with COVID-19 diagnosis is 2,020 people. And the total ventilators in our state that are in use are 1,017 ventilators out of the 2,945 that we have in the state. The ICU occupancy in regards to this disease is 80%. And the one thing that I wanted to, so that I can make it short, I just wanted to mention that there are changes being made. Dr. Dani Avula is having conversations. Yesterday we had one, and there are more that are going to be coming as of this week, and it was supposed to be today on the 11th. Some pharmacists in Virginia we're going to get vaccines available, and the people are going to be able to register through the pharmacies to get vaccinated. And I'm having here that CVS health plans will be administering 26,000 total doses via the federal pharmacy partnership program, and they want to expand to more locations. And when I went through their website, it seemed to me that they had easier to understand information for the community because it said what the reaction could be, how do you register, and if you have, what conditions that you should be, cautious about, and so forth. So they had a lot of information on their website. So we're hoping that with the availability of vaccines through CVS and Rite Aid pharmacies, that the vaccination is going to increase, and we are going to be seeing better numbers in Virginia. And I just wanted to say that at the beginning of, in the middle of January and beginning of February, we were very concerned about the numbers in Virginia. And at some point in January, I shared with you that we were 50 out of 50 states in the vaccine delivery. And all of a sudden, with all of these plays, Virginia went from that number to number 13 in the nation, and now we're number 10. And hopefully, that will continue be the case. And I think that is, a good thing to be cognizant about. But if we can have people register either through the website of the Virginia Beach Health Department or the pharmacies, that would be a good thing. I know we were informed that Virginia is going to receive, I think, a little bit over $400 million to specifically dedicate to this effort. And the Virginia Health Department and CDC are asking, several people, members of the committee, to give ideas as to how that money would be better used. So if you have specific ideas that you would want to recommend, I would appreciate if you can pass them to me, and I will, share with them. Some of the things that we have suggested is that perhaps it would be a good investment to have some kind of a mobile vaccine van or hospital per se that can be purchased for the delivery of vaccines in areas that are remote. Another thing is that they're going to be hiring a lot of people. I'm going to receive the information, and they want all those jobs to go to only people in Virginia. And so as soon as I have the website or the contact information or more specific information, I would like to share them with you so that we can make sure that those jobs also are distributed right here in Virginia.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Everman. And I know that Vice Chair Jencock puts the report out the racial breakdown every week.
And Vice Chair Jencock has her virtual hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Vice Chair Jencock, your mic is open.
Thank you. Just two quick things. Did everyone receive an email from Centera today? Are you on the Centera My Chart? If you did not, yeah, you can ask. I can send it to you, a copy to you, because it talks about our distribution here in Virginia Beach, and it kind of lays out what to expect, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as far as how long it's going to take for all of us to get our inoculations. And just one personal thing, as you all know, I tested positive January 2nd and had a couple of days of mild symptoms. And it's now February 11th, and I still don't have my taste and smell back, but I haven't stopped eating. Thanks. And Sylvia, do you want me to add on to your report about the possible forum for April?
Oh, yeah, go ahead and do that.
I've been in touch with, as I emailed you, Special Agent Vanessa Torres from the FBI and Homeland Security, and they are ready. They are preparing to do an update for us on human trafficking and can do that for us in April. So, Madam Chair, if you want to see if that's okay with everybody.
Yes, thank you. If there are no objections, we'll just go ahead and schedule it. Do I hear any objections? Okie dokie, moving right along. Law Enforcement Oversight Committee.
Commissioner Hasseltine, your mic is open.
Okay, thank you. I first want to thank everybody for allowing me to move the meeting from this week to next week. I just didn't want to have it without Commissioner Jencock and the chair. So if you looked over the minutes from the last one, we did complete the Virginia Beach Police Department. We made some minor suggestions, and a letter's going out shortly. The next one that we're reviewing is the Sheriff's Department. I didn't receive any feedback regarding any questions about definitions or terms. So the Law Enforcement Oversight Committee will meet on Tuesday to discuss any issues with those policies. That's all I got.
Okay. All right, thank you, Commissioner Hasseltine.
Thank you. Mental Health Task Force, Tommy.
Commissioner Cubine, your mic is open.
Yes, I sent in a written report and it was saying that we just had a meeting on the 27th and that we're focusing on housing for people with serious mental illnesses or people with mental health conditions, continuing to focus on STEP Virginia and advocating strongly for that, and the development of mental health related video, and also outreach to faith communities. But also we have Teresa and Morgan who are working on another mental health project, which has to do with the season for nonviolence. And the focus this year is going to be on mental health. And I was hoping they could say a few words about what that involves.
Yes, they were up next if you're finished.
Did you have anything more to add about the mental health task force?
No, as I said,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Cubine.
Yeah.
And with that, Commissioner Stanley, your mic is open.
Yes, Commissioner Ellis and I asked to be tagged on to the mental health task force because this shows the intersectional way that we're working. And so the season for nonviolence has been something that, we've been supporting and engaged in for a long time. And Commissioner Ellis will kind of give you the update on where we are with the current project that Commissioner Cubine just talked about.
Commissioner Ellis, your mic is open.
Thank you. Okay, so I kind of wrote a little script kind of thing. I'm really nervous. My hands are sweating. Okay, so a little background. So the Season for Nonviolence is a global grassroots campaign dedicated to raising awareness about the healing and transforming power of nonviolence. This 64-day event began in 1997 for the occasion of the 50th and 30th memorial anniversaries of Gandhi and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The Season for Nonviolence runs from the anniversary of Gandhi's assassination on January 30th to April 4th, which is the anniversary of King's assassination. It has grown into an important educational and media opportunity to bring communities together, empowering them to envision and help create a nonviolent world, one heart and one day at a time. Throughout the 64-day campaign, events and activities for peace and nonviolence take place all around the world, highlighting existing peace-building initiatives and inspiring new year-round activities for a more peaceful, nonviolent, just, and sustainable world. And so in the Zoom meeting that we had recently, NAMI, Coastal Virginia, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, presented a few ideas for this year's Season for Nonviolence to a group of volunteers. And we discussed what we could do for this season and what to focus on. And due to the pandemic and how communication with others is limited, mental health is becoming more of a problem recently. So we decided to make the theme of this year's Season for Nonviolence the importance of mental health throughout the community, but also with students. So a lot of students that I know, they're struggling a lot with mental health. And a couple of my friends, acquaintances kind of, they've been really struggling, and a couple have committed suicide, which is something that's really important. It's important to me, and so that's why I wanted to start becoming more involved with this, because it's really important to me. And so one idea that they proposed was to create a bench and put it in the Vibe district where people can go and visit. And then around this bench, and also placed at random places really throughout the community, I gave the idea of painting stones and tiles with inspirational messages on them to uplift the community and those struggling with mental health. So I don't remember what year it was, but when the incident happened at Building 2 and rocks were given throughout the community to paint, and how they still have to put the clear coat on and whatnot, but I painted a couple rocks, me and my mom, and I thought it was a really good idea. And so I kind of thought that'd be a good start for something for this year's project. And so I asked the National Honor Society sponsor and National Art Honor Society sponsor at my school if they would be interested with the, like working with the group. And so far, the National Honor Society sponsor offered to participate after we finish our first community service project. So I'm kind of waiting for that one to end before we start this one. And then I thought that some students would connect to the theme and want to participate and help others feel a little better. And also painting rocks is an activity that you don't really have to be in a big group to do. So I think it's something that we can actually do. And also, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and the first week is Children's Mental Health Week, and green is the color for that month, I believe. So painting some of the stones green could be dedicated to that specific group. And then there's also a suggestion given at the meeting that a symbol put on some of the rocks could be a semicolon, because that's a reminder that their story isn't over and they should tell their story and stuff like that.
Commissioner Ellis, thank you so much.
I'm sweating.
Commissioner,
you
did a beautiful job. And Commissioner Mancall has also agreed to be meeting with the community, Season for Nonviolence Collective. Dr. Parrott has been so instrumental in making sure that liaisoning into the schools. But as Morgan said, we didn't want to put pressure on teachers or students in the current climate. And mental health just kept being lifted by all of the collective members as a huge issue. So one of the commitments, and you've already heard it, is all the questions you ever needed to know about mental health, which Dominique, you've already sent out. That's on the 17th. And then we are going, every one of the participants in the community, the young people, have agreed to attend an Ending the Silence presentation. So as soon as the students design the flyer that Morgan was talking about for, getting people to be aware, mental health, destigmatize, and make sure that young people are getting the supports they need because they're out here, we will pass that to the commission and hopefully people can use it with their networks. And Dr. Parrott, whatever you can do to, be pressing it out. We also wanted to really sing your praises for the equity forum that you all just did, because many of us attended that. So thank you, Morgan. You did a beautiful job.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner Stanley, and thank you, Commissioner Ellis. Okay, back to you, Chair Nair Strickland.
Yeah, congratulations, Commissioner Ellis, on your first report. Excellent. Thank you. Is there any other committee reports before we move on to? I know that Dr. Parrott has a liaison report. Anybody else?
Vice Chair Gencott, did you have more to say? I see your virtual hand just still up. Oh, okay. All right. Let's check. Commissioner Zoberman?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Anderson?
No, thank you for all the updates.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Okay, with that, Dr. Parrott, your mic is open for your report.
Oh. Sorry, I should have let you do it. Sorry. Good evening, Vice Chair Strickland and Chairwoman Strickland, excuse me, and Vice Chair Jenkins and our fellow commissioners. Good evening, and I'm happy to be with you and to provide you an update. Hopefully, you had an opportunity to review the one-pager that I sent, and so I like to talk more about people than paper. So I have with me at our meeting today the coordinator for our office, our coordinator for equity and opportunity. And before I talk about that piece of paper, I definitely want to highlight the person behind the wonderful program that many of you attended on Saturday, and that's Dr. Sabrina Lindsay Law. And she's on the call with us this evening. And I know I shared about her in December, and I missed the meeting in January, but I didn't want to miss an opportunity to have her be with us this evening. And so you can put a face, see her beautiful face and hear her voice this evening. And so I'll ask permission if she can be unmuted and just share a little bit about herself. And again, thank you all who were able to attend our Black History program on Saturday, and the brains and the work and the execution behind that program was Dr. Sabrina Lindsay Law and the team of students and staff that she worked with. And it was a very fast turnaround. As you may recall, she joined the office in November. The program was just a couple of weeks ago, last weekend. I feel like it's been a long time. So I'll stop speaking and allow Dr. Lindsay Law to introduce herself and share a little bit about herself and some goals she may have for herself as part of the Office for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. Just a little bit about myself. I am a product of the city of Virginia Beach. I graduated from Tollwood High School and I went to Brandon and College Park Elementary. So a long, rich experience with the city of Virginia Beach as it relates to public education. From there, I went to Old Dominion University and I went to the George Washington University, looking at educational leadership, supervision, and administration. And my doctoral studies is looking at basically instructional coaching as it relates to building trust, adaptive leadership with others to increase their professional capital. And so as it relates to the office and the goals, definitely looking to continue to collaborate and to build out the office with Dr. Parrott, as well as looking at our future equity assessment and those outcomes to build an equity plan, as well as resources to support our school division, as well as our local community, building partnerships with organizations like yours, as well as other organizations that can help to facilitate giving everybody what they need, but especially our students and our families. So thank you so very much for having me this evening, and I look forward to future collaborations.
Thank you, Dr. Lindsay Law. Thank you, Dr. Parrott.
Okay, was that it, Dr. Parrott?
Right.
Did you have more to add, Dr. Parrott?
Well, Dr. Lindsay Law was the most important thing I had to add. So I definitely wanted Dr. Lindsay Law to have her voice heard. And, you know, again, I appreciate you, Dr. Lindsay Law, for staying later tonight so that you could participate in this meeting that I told her about 3 hours ago. So, again, thank you, Dr. Lindsay Law. She's getting used to that. And so just really that Dr. Law, again, just being that support, dedicated support to moving the work of diversity, equity, and inclusion throughout our school division. And so and she's really just making these connections internally and externally throughout the division. And so I wanted to share with you before I end, I know there's a one page that you all know how to reach me, but I wanted to highlight the equity assessment. And the equity assessment is ongoing, and we have partnered with Quality Measures, which is a small minority-owned, women-owned, Black woman-owned consulting firm out of Chesapeake. And it's important that we invite this body to participate in focus groups. And so I can't tell you directly what day that's going to be, but our goal is to have all of our internal and external focus groups completed by the end of March. So that means it's not going to happen, of course, during your regular scheduled meeting, but we will have our evaluator reach out to Ms. McKinnon to then set up a date and possible times for you to participate in a focus group. Again, of course, many of you have served on focus groups before, so you know it's not mandatory. But as our school division moves forward in examining our own practices and processes, I think it's important to gain your perspective as a body that is focused around diversity, equity, inclusion for the entire city of Virginia Beach. And so they will reach out to you. All focus groups will take place virtually due to the ongoing health pandemic. And again, they'll be flexible on certain dates and times, but we hope that all commissioners will be able to participate in a focus group. And again, we're reaching out to our other external stakeholder groups as well. We'll reach out to the Mayor's African American Roundtable, the Minority Business Council. We're reaching out, Ms. Abraman has shared a group for us to reach out to as well to gain the perspective of our Latino community. And so again, just want to put that out there. As more information becomes available, we'll use Ms. McKinnon as the contact for our evaluators. So please look for that information soon. I believe the focus groups will not take longer than an hour, they told me. So again, just look forward to that. That one pager just really giving you some broad projects the office has been working on, but feel free to contact me at any time if you have any questions about what's on the one pager or what's not on the one pager, but really I've been focused on, Dr. Law and I both have been focused on both internally planning and providing professional learning for teachers, and then externally this equity assessment. Those have been the priorities for the office thus far. So that's all I have to share at this time. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Parrott.
Okay, yes, thank you. Just to tag on to the Black History Month, I think Dominique sent a link. Old Dominion has they're hosting a panel, and it was really interest to me because the panelists are going to be talking about the Norfolk 17, and I had attended Northview High School with some of them, and two of the people are my classmates, but it's history for you guys. I lived it, so if you get a chance, tune in. And we didn't get a chance to meet. The awards committee is going to meet, and wanted everybody who wants to participate to please fill out the doodle. We're going to have to go ahead, I think, and plan on virtual awards. I think now that we're all stars and we've completed our first video, we can do this. I think it'll be good. And after the what was the homeless vigil that they did virtually, it turned out really well. So I think it'll turn out really well. Well, if everybody can fill out the doodle. Do we have any other announcements or any other concerns you want to bring? We've got about 12 minutes.
Raise your virtual hand if you had any other announcements or discussion topics. Have a virtual hand up by Commissioner Rivera. Commissioner Rivera, your mic is open.
Yes, will there be any discussion at all about the manual that was sent to us via email?
Yeah, we probably need to meet Joe's committee. We need to meet and get together because yeah, I know we reviewed it several times, but it's kind of a learning process. It's the first time ever in the history of the Human Rights Commission that we put down any processes or procedures. And as I said earlier, we can write down all the processes and procedures that we wanted. They're basically suggestions. And so I think that we'll have everybody look at it, and as many people that can come to the it's bylaws. You gave it up to Joe, right, Louis?
Yes.
The bylaws and process committee meeting. So as soon as we can get one together, we should probably review this and then get back together and try and slimline it or make some suggestions. I know that the city's webpage is changing, and Carla and Dominique have been working on ours as it is, but I think a lot of this information can go on the web directly to the website for us that new onboarding people can get or we can refer to. So in answer to your question, yes, sir.
I was just wondering if our city attorney could share with us if the city ever came through with their recommendations. We were in a holding pattern for a long time, not knowing what to include in terms of code of conduct and that sort of thing. And I was wondering if they ever came through with that, or if they're still waiting on that.
I can answer that for you if Rod doesn't want to. That was the community report that I gave you. It's called the Citizens Committee on Boards and Commissions. We've been meeting weekly. Now we're down to bi-weekly, and that's exactly what it is. It's citizens, and we're going through recommendations and a lot of paperwork. And as I said, it comes down to we can make all the recommendations to City Council that we want. It's ultimately up to City Council what they want to do about those kinds of things. It's a city meeting. You're welcome to attend. You can just I can give you the times and we can get you an invitation. Anybody that wants to sit in on that is welcome. Is that right, sir?
That's exactly right. It's a public meeting, and public notice is provided online at least 3 business days before the meetings. They've typically been on Monday, but we've had some illness that has postponed our most recent meetings.
Thank you for the question, Lily. Anybody else? Francis?
Yes. Commissioner Thompson, your mic is open.
Yes, I was on the agenda. I didn't know if we were going to get down to that part where the liaisons would make their report. I just wanted to say good afternoon to everybody, but also to give you some information about the Minority Business Council. They are having a virtual expo, which each year, except for 2020, they have an expo where they invite all kinds of small and minority-owned businesses to gather down at the convention center for networking and for presenting awards and for all kinds of things. It's really an expo. And we didn't have it in the fall, so they're going to do it virtually. It's going to be an amazing event, April 22nd. I just want to get that on our calendar. I will probably get all the details, more details tomorrow during the meeting. But I'd like for us to get that on our calendar. It's going to be an awesome, awesome virtual event. April 22nd, the Minority Business Council Expo. And I think it's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. from 10 to 2. I think those are the hours, but I will certainly confirm all of that when I get the details. Again, the Minority Business Council will be meeting tomorrow at 3 o'clock. If you want a meeting, it's a virtual meeting, and so you can go to the website and get the meeting link if you'd like to attend. And I also would like to encourage you to follow the Minority Business Council on social media and the @MyVBMBC on Twitter and Instagram. And then you just go to, on Facebook, just go to City of Virginia Beach Minority Business Council. And a lot of information is shared about webinars and opportunities and all kinds of things are shared on the social media. So I encourage you to stay connected with them that way. I also I've been attending the Virginia School Board meetings for the last several months. As you can well imagine, they've been consumed with reopening school, in-person instruction. So that's, if you have any ideas or thoughts about that, I encourage you to email your friendly school board member and let them know so you can weigh in on what's going on. But and right now I think we're in the throes of the budget season, so they'll be hashing those things out. But I've been attending the meetings and I found them very, very interesting to hear the perspectives of teachers and parents and students. Everybody has their own way of thinking. So keep them in your thoughts and prayers as they make the very difficult decisions as we go forward. So that's all. I just wanted to add those things, and then I have been attending the meetings on behalf of the school board and the Minority Business Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. I see a virtual hand up by Commissioner Gunn. Commissioner Gunn, your mic is open.
Yep, Francis, that meeting is public, right? Minority Business Council?
Yes.
I'm sorry, say it again.
The Minority Business Council meeting is public, open to the public?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's just like this one. They, the members of the council will be on a panel like this, and you'll see and hear them. And then attendees, will be in. But they don't have an opportunity. I mean, you put in questions or concerns in advance if you want to have some input, but they generally just sit, and observe the meeting.
And will we be able to contact you as far as if I knew somebody, I'm asking on behalf of somebody else, if they wanted to attend, who should they contact?
I can try to send you the link. It's on the VB Gov website.
Okay, I'll be able to find it.
Okay, just look for Minority Business Council. The meeting is tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Facebook as well too. So Facebook.
Thank you, Commissioner Gunn. Anyone else have any discussion, any topics to talk about? Let me check with Commissioner Zilberman. Commissioner Zilberman?
Yes. I hope some of us were able to watch the proceedings, the impeachment proceedings in Congress. Our democracy is in crisis, and I would hope that we'll have some time scheduled so we can discuss the searing events that affect America and the world and the very society in which we all live and function. And I know that, Sylvia, you did mention to me that you want to have a special session. Maybe we can invite a speaker who can analyze the dynamics involved here, because what's happening is very, very serious, obviously.
Thank you, Commissioner Zilberman.
Yes.
And let me check with Commissioner Amberman. Oh, sorry, Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Anderson, did you have anything to add to the discussion?
No, thank you, Dominique.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Okay, and I am not seeing any more virtual hands.
Okay, anybody have anything else? What Rabbi Zebulun was referring to is a lot of people have said we have very little time to actually have discussions about topics that we just want to talk about. I'm working with Mr. Walker, maybe have a team building session in which it can be both team building and it would be in addition to this meeting, but a team building session where we can also have some discussion. I think it would be good for us. There's a lot of things on all of our minds that are, and a lot of stresses that we probably would like to discuss, and we always run out of time, and my apologies for that. But, okay. The only thing I have is that I'm now another great grandmother. I have a great grandson. She was rushed to the hospital a couple days ago. I'm sorry, and they're still in the hospital. He was early, but everybody's doing okay. So just wanted to great grandson again.
Okay, and staff reports. I had since our last meeting, I had 3 citizens call. 2 were having some issues with their employers. I referred them to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and then I had another person call because she had a lawsuit. She's in the middle of a lawsuit with her condo association. I referred her to the Legal Aid Society. She said she spoke to them already. She was not happy with their services. So I referred her to, I found online, they have a common interest community board. I guess they work with people who have issues with their homeowners associations and condo associations. So I'll refer her to them, and also Fair Housing, because she said she thinks they're doing it because of her age. So that's it for anything going on my end. Like Sylvia said, I send out the doodle poll for the awards committee. Please get that done so I can schedule that hopefully for next week. And looking at the agenda, there are no citizen remarks after all. So.
Okay, Sister Neil didn't make it. All right, everyone. Meeting adjourned. Thank you so very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You can unmute yourself and say bye.
Bye. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Hey, good night.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Happy Valentine's Day. Yeah.
Happy Valentine's.
Good night.